Hey there, family of baseball. It's the Big Rican with my take on the New York Mets in just a few short minutes. Now, normally I can't do this, but Willie told me I got to have it done in a short amount of time. So let's start with the All-Star break and give a shout out to my boy Pete Alonso for winning his second consecutive home run derby in an impressive show where for the second time in 3 years, he beat a player from the American League Central, the National League East, and the American League East in the finals to win a home run derby crown, setting the new record with 35 dingers in the first round. What no one knows, unless you've listened to my show, is that when Taijuan Walker went up to him at his timeout, he said, "Bro, I need 35. And the Polar Bear was like, okay. The next night, Taijuan Walker gave up a long home run to Mike Zunino, but to say that Taijuan Walker was an all-star when he was picked up off the scrap heap in February is a huge deal for a great pitcher and a great guy. Coming out of the All-Star break, I didn't hear the SNY music for the beginning of a Met game. I started hearing the MASH theme song, where once again the injury bug has plagued the New York Mets, as Jacob deGrom and now Francisco Lindor have both been put on the 10-day IL. deGrom with forearm tightness, that normally leads to someone saying the ugly Tommy John word, but an MRI showed no structural damage. This is a muscle issue. And he has actually been throwing off the mound. They are deciding what they're going to do with him moving forward. Lindor is a little different. This is an oblique injury. It's going to cost him close to a month. And the Mets are in a pennant race. The good, they have been in first place now for 70 consecutive days. The bad, well, actually the good. They have done this by using 55 different players. The 55th being none other than Rich Hill, who they traded for last week. He pitched on Sunday against Toronto. A series that the Mets won 2 out of 3. So coming out of the break, they went to Pittsburgh. They lost 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh, but Sunday was a huge comeback win. They win 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, highlighted by, well, a huge 15-11 win on Monday night. And then Marcus Stroman putting in his best effort as a New York Met with 8 shutout innings on Wednesday, getaway day, beating Cincinnati 7-0 in Cincinnati. They came home Friday night to shut out Toronto 3-0. Pete Alonso hit 2 home runs, including one that actually may not have landed yet. 450-some feet into the upper deck in left center field at Citi Field. Now, if anybody knows how far that really looks from home plate, even on television, I can tell you, having sat in both the upper deck and left field lower level at Citi Field, that's a bomb. It's an absolute bomb. There is no other way to describe it. There is no other way to spin it. Pete Alonso hit an absolute moonshot into the second deck to give the Mets breathing room, and Edwin Diaz came on and slammed the door against Toronto on Friday night. On Saturday, Toronto showed us why they don't play many close games when they beat the Mets 10-3. And on Sunday, a late double by Jeff McNeil to drive in 2 gave the Mets a 5-4 win against Toronto to take 2 out of 3 from a very good and very much surging Toronto Blue Jays team. That brought us to yesterday and a doubleheader split with the Atlanta Braves, a 2-0 loss in Game 1, and then the bullpen game in Game 2 and a 1-0 win on another Jeff McNeil RBI double. So what do I think going into the trade deadline? Well, first and foremost, Sunday night, my buddies Alex, Tone, and I will break down the 2021 trade deadline and what our predictions are for the second half of the season after all the moving and shaking is done. So here's what I think the Mets have to do at the trade deadline. The Mets need pitching. The injuries have been significant to the rotation. They have been not so significant in the bullpen. However, inconsistency has hurt the bullpen a little bit over the past several weeks. Here are some good things coming on the horizon. Carlos Carrasco will rejoin the Mets rotation at some point in the next week to give one more arm to Luis Rojas and his stable. Tyler Anderson, I think I'm getting that name right, the left-handed pitcher from Pittsburgh, looks like he could be a Met before the game today at 7 o'clock, and he would start tonight, according to what Twitter is saying. I got to give a shout-out to my buddy Tone of the Cardboards and Cracker Jacks podcast. He's actually the one who let me on to this. What does this mean for the Mets? It means they're finally getting some bodies in the rotation. deGrom is a little bit away. Carrasco could join this week. hopefully the pieces parts that are starting to get healthy will get there and remain there. Now, what do I see else coming out of the deadline? I think they're still going to try and go out and get a bat. I don't see why with the way J.D. Davis has hit. I don't see why with the way Pete Alonso has gotten hot and is hitting over 300 since the beginning of the second half after his home run derby win. If we could get Dominic Smith hot and we could get Michael Conforto hot, that is a formidable middle of the lineup for you to have to go through. So the hilarity has just begun. The craziness that is the 2021 non-waiver trade deadline, I have a feeling is going to get crazier and crazier as the days go on, because it's only Tuesday as I record this at, little after noontime, and we're already seeing Max Scherzer could be on the move, Trey Turner could be headed to Seattle, and what have you. So it's going to be a fun few days. It's going to be an insanity-filled few days for all of us in the family of baseball. As always, Big Rican can be found on YouTube at Big Rican on Sports, Facebook Big Rican on Sports, Twitter at Big Rican on Sport. You can hear me here on the Family of Baseball podcast with Nat and Willie, which I enjoy immensely. And, of course, you can hear the Big Rican on Sports podcast on Anchor, Breaker, Spotify. Even ask Alexa to play Big Rican on Sports. So, Willie, thank you so much for another chance at this, buddy. Maybe next time we'll be able to get this done without me having to record and send in. I will talk to you guys soon. And most importantly, let's go Mets.